Could Roman Abramovich now face sanctions for owning Chelsea Football Club after reports suggesting that he does have close ties with Putin and the Kremlin regime? In today's video, I'm going to discuss the latest news surrounding Roman and the UK government's willingness to sanction oligarchs and Russian businesses due to the unlawful way in which Russia have invaded Ukraine. In today's video, I'm going to break down all the stories. I'm going to break down the latest developments as well too. I hope you guys enjoy. But before I get into anything, I need to get one plug out of the way first. Today's video is brought to you by Spitch, the ultimate fantasy manager app new on the market, which allows you to test your managerial skills and of course test your player knowledge against other managers, where you can compete and win up to a share of 70k a week. Now, as you guys can see on the screen beside me right now, this is the lineup that I've entered for this week. I have like 43 mil left to play with. I'm definitely looking to invest into this team for future weeks for sure. And if I click on league here, right at the bottom, I get an indication behind some of the players performing very well in terms of point tallies they're collecting. I'm looking at Cancelo, looks to be the main one to get. I'm looking at, of course, Salah as well, guaranteed to get so many points with him in your starting 11. Scrolling to the right hand side, I can get an even detailed metric behind how exactly players are scoring points. Once you finalize your team, you're ready to enter. All you quickly have to do though is register and of course provide your ID, because you have to prove you are 18 plus. And before I end things, one thing that I really want to heavily promote is my community page on Spitch. Now, if you guys head to the description, you must download Spitch. And once you do that, come back and click on my community page link and of course join my league. It will allow us to compete against each other, point tally against each other, and then we can really see who has the real player knowledge. So what you guys are waiting for, of course, you'll find a free download link in the description below. Now getting back to the video, and is Roman Abramovich potentially about to lose Chelsea Football Club? The UK government, as well as many governments across the EU, they're all devastated by what's happening in Ukraine, and of course they are looking to punish Russia's economy by imposing many heavy sanctions. With the UK government in particular, they're looking to heavily sanction Russian oligarchs by freezing assets and banning travel, to name a few examples. Of course, this is all in retaliation to Russia's unlawful invasion of Ukraine. I gotta say, our hearts, our hopes go out to the Ukrainian people at this point in time. It's actually so mad and so surreal what's happening right now, and it's kind of like a constant reminder that we still have such a long way to go as people. But let's go back to Roman Abramovich and focus more on the story. Roman has been investigated as a person of interest because of his links to the Russian state, and in the 2019 Home Office document, it cited Roman as an oligarch the government was monitoring. Roman was also named by lawmakers on Tuesday by Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny, and Roman was part of one of 35 oligarchs with close ties to Putin. This follows claims made by Labour MP Chris Bryant, who claimed that Roman's assets should be seized based on what was detailed in the documents. The document is said to cite court documents with Roman admitting to paying for political influence, and Chris Bryant wants his assets seized, including Roman's 152 million mega mansion, and he shouldn't be allowed to own any football clubs in the country either. I guess you could say trust Labour MP to be the one calling for action, as it's been known for a long time that the Tory party have been heavily reliant on donations from Russian oligarchs that were granted British citizenship. Stuff like this, which is why people constantly say London is the most corrupt city in Europe. But anyway, let's go back to Roman again. With the UK government promising that they will look to increase sanctions even more if Russia show no signs of stopping, then I guess technically they could find ways to sanction Roman Abramovich. But anyway, let's now look at the business side behind things to see exactly how this could potentially work. If we look at the latest accounts from Fortune Limited, Chelsea's parent company, well, we owe 2 billion to Roman Abramovich, who is the ultimate controlling party of Fortune. Essentially, this loan is described to be leverage against any significant attacks on his assets, because we don't have the money to pay him back. So I guess if you wanted to see things in a hypothetical way, doom, gloom, worst case scenario at this point in time, let's say Roman's funds were seized by the government, then technically he could sell the club, citing assets were frozen. As I said, this is a hypothetical situation. There's nothing to say that Roman will collapse Chelsea Football Club just to spite the UK government. To be honest, I'm not that worried about that. Technically, we could just find another buyer. However, I can't imagine there's many buyers looking to invest over 2 billion to buy Chelsea Football Club. And I guess this is where Roman's leverage and his plan ultimately works. The guys is that Roman would expect his 2 billion back. he would know that this is an asking price that is way too high. In a sense, this ultimately acts as a preventative measure to put off any potential buyers, knowing the club could not afford to pay him back. Ultimately, if he was sanctioned, this could be a very dangerous move to make because it puts the staff and many other people at the club's livelihoods at jeopardy at this point in time. So realistically, if things delve and descended that deep and went that far, I'd imagine the government would strike a deal with Roman to ensure that the club, the staff, are able to operate on a daily basis and not be affected. For now, there's no legal documentation to prove that Roman has any ties to Putin. I'm not too sure if he is going to be sanctioned because back in 2012, legal precedents prevented action against Roman, with the judge ruling at the time that the connection between Putin and Roman was not significant enough. Roman has continued to deny any Putin influence. There were even accusations that he bought Chelsea under Kremlin influence. Now, back in November, a few months back, he sued publishers Harper's and Collins after they published a book written by author Catherine Belton, who wrote how the KGB took back Russia and then took on the West. And this is where this accusation actually first surfaced. There were many accusations that Roman personally wasn't pleased by, hence taking them to court. And in the end, everything was settled in his libel claim against the journalists and against the publishers. All parties apologized. Harper's and Collins promised to amend the book and correct any implications, and everything got settled before things got taken further in court. Now, there was a very interesting article released by Bloomberg UK, and they report that essentially suitors of Chelsea Football Club are on high alert and are circling the club and monitoring the situation. Essentially, sports investors and private equity firms, including some from the US, have begun to draw up potential takeover offers for Chelsea Football Club. Already this month, we have fielded one inquiry, but of course, when spokesmen from the club and Roman were reached out, of course, naturally they were going to decline. If anyone wants to buy us, it's going to cost over $2 billion. And we are seen as one of the true global brands across the world. There's a particular American investor called Jeff Morad who sees us with significant interest. And I guess my question to you guys would be, would you be comfortable with having American owners potentially in the future? This situation with how things will continue to change over the next few days, weeks, months, etc., etc. And, with how serious governments now are looking to really just tackle Russia at this point in time, it only makes sense that you look to target guys like Roman Abramovich and others, and for the sake of safety of the club, could Roman be forced to sell? Now let's go back to 2018, and during this time, Roman withdrew his application for the British Tier 1 investor visa after delays in his application following criticism of Russian oligarchs, and this was at the time during the Salisbury poisoning fiasco. Since then, Roman hasn't come back to the country. He has been in Israel. He now has Israeli citizenship, which grants him required permissions to visit the UK for up to 6 months, and this is why we actually saw him at Stamford Bridge a few months back. It does seem that at this point in time that Roman will not be facing any sanctions currently. Interestingly though, recently, earlier this afternoon, his daughter Sofia Abramovich released a social media post showing her support of Ukraine by declaring that it's actually Putin versus Ukraine and dispelling the notion that Russians are just blindly standing behind Putin. Does Sofia Abramovich's dissent against what's happening maybe reflect how Roman's feeling about the situation? I mean, maybe, maybe not. I can't really be sitting down here speaking for a billionaire and just, putting out speculation. Who knows? But, I do have to say, ultimately, even if we were to hypothetically get a bad sanction in the future, whatever, that could jeopardize the safety of the club, I got to be real with you guys, compared to real people who are really going through, something just I can't even relate to at this point in time. I mean, football will always forever take a backseat behind real human injustices. It's always going to be like that for me. I mean, I love the sport, I really do, but I'll never forget, it's just an entertainment at the end of the day. And, real people, real lives, justice, humanity, all these things are a lot more important than kicking a ball. So you guys, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up, keep things moving. Thank you for watching. There'll be more content out later today if I can get over 250k likes in the first hour. And tomorrow is there to be my big match preview breakdown for our Carabao Cup final against Liverpool. So you guys, I'm in EFC. This is Blue Lines TV. Catch you all soon. Cool.